Have you ever walked into a massive cathedral, looked up at the high ceilings, smelled the incense in the air, and wondered what really goes on behind all the rituals, robes, and ringing bells? The Catholic Church is one of the oldest and most influential institutions in human history. It has shaped nations, crowned kings, survived wars, and guided billions of people for over 2,000 years. But beyond the Sunday Mass and the familiar image of priests and nuns, there are some truly surprising and even strange facts that many people don't know. Today, we are diving deep into 7 weird facts about the Catholic Church. Some of them may shock you, some may confuse you, and some might completely change the way you see this global church. Let's get into it. First, the Catholic Church is the oldest continuously functioning institution in the Western world. It traces its leadership back to St. Peter, one of the 12 apostles of Jesus, who Catholics believe was the first pope. The current pope, Pope Francis, is considered the 266th successor of Peter. That means Catholics believe there has been an unbroken line of leadership from the time of the Roman Empire until today. Think about that. Empires have risen and fallen, civilizations have disappeared, but this church structure has remained. Second, the Pope is not just a religious leader, he is also a head of state. The Pope rules over Vatican City, the smallest independent country in the world. Vatican City has its own flag, its own stamps, its own passports, and even its own bank. It is fully recognized in international law. So technically, when the Pope speaks on global issues, he does so not only as a spiritual authority, but also as a political sovereign. That's a rare combination in today's world. Third, Catholics believe in something called transubstantiation. This is the belief that during Mass, the bread and wine actually become the body and blood of Jesus Christ, even though they still look and taste like bread and wine. To outsiders, this can sound shocking or even disturbing, but for practicing Catholics, it is one of the most sacred and central parts of their faith. This belief has been held officially since the Middle Ages and continues strongly today. Fourth, the Church has its own secret archive. For centuries, it was known as the Vatican Secret Archives, though it has now been renamed the Apostolic Archive. This massive collection holds ancient documents, letters from kings, records of trials, and historical papers dating back over 1,000 years. Scholars can access parts of it, but not everything. Some documents are still restricted. That mystery has fueled countless conspiracy theories over the years. Fifth, the Catholic Church once had a military order of warrior monks known as the Knights Templar. These men were both monks and trained fighters. They took religious vows, but also carried swords. They became extremely powerful during the Crusades and were later accused of heresy and disbanded. Though the Knights Templar are no longer active, their story still fascinates historians and conspiracy theorists alike. Sixth, the Church officially recognizes miracles after deep investigation. When someone claims a miracle has happened, especially in the case of a potential saint, the Vatican sends investigators. Doctors, scientists, and theologians study the case carefully. For example, many of the miracles associated with apparitions in places like Lourdes have been examined by medical experts. Only a small number of reported miracles are officially approved. The process can take years, even decades. Seventh, the Catholic Church has its own exorcists. Yes, official exorcists. While movies make it look dramatic and terrifying, the Church still trains certain priests to perform exorcisms under strict guidelines. The rite must be approved by a bishop, and psychological evaluations are usually done first to rule out mental illness. Exorcism is rare, but it is still a recognized part of church practice. Another strange fact is that the Catholic Church once ran its own courts and prisons during the time of the Inquisition. The most famous of these was the Spanish Inquisition, which began in the 15th century under the authority of the Spanish monarchy, but with church involvement. People accused of heresy were tried and sometimes punished harshly. It remains one of the most controversial chapters in church history.
Here's something else that surprises many people. The Church has a patron saint for almost everything. There is a patron saint for lost items, for travelers, for students, and even for the Internet. Catholics believe saints can intercede for them in specific areas of life. For example, many Catholics pray to Saint Anthony when they lose something. It may sound unusual, but for believers, it brings comfort and hope. The Church also once changed the calendar. The modern calendar used in much of the world today, called the Gregorian calendar, was introduced by Pope Gregory XIII in 1582. This reform corrected errors in the old Julian calendar, so in a very real sense, the Catholic Church helped shape how the world measures time. Another interesting fact is that the Catholic Church has its own citizenship process. Not everyone who works in Vatican City automatically becomes a citizen. Citizenship is usually tied to a person's job. When that job ends, the citizenship can also end. It is one of the most unique systems of nationality in the world. The Church has also canonized over 10,000 saints. That means more than 10,000 people have officially been declared to be in heaven and worthy of public veneration. The canonization process is detailed and can take years, even decades. One more strange reality is that the Catholic Church once had multiple popes at the same time. During a period known as the Western Schism, from 1378 to 1417, there were rival claimants to the papacy. At one point, there were even 3 men claiming to be the true pope. This caused major confusion and division across Europe before the issue was finally resolved. The Church also played a huge role in preserving knowledge during the Middle Ages. Monks copied ancient texts by hand, including works of Greek and Roman philosophers. Without those monasteries, much classical knowledge might have been lost. Another fact that surprises people is that the Church has a global diplomatic network. The Vatican maintains diplomatic relations with over 180 countries. Its ambassadors are called nuncios. This means the Church is deeply involved in international discussions about peace, human rights, and humanitarian aid. The Catholic Church also has its own legal system called canon law. This system governs internal church matters like marriage, clergy discipline, and church administration. It is separate from civil law, but still legally binding for Catholics in certain areas. One more unusual detail: the Church does not allow just anyone to become a priest. There are strict requirements, including years of study in philosophy and theology, spiritual formation, and a commitment to celibacy in the Latin Rite. The training can take up to 8 years or more. Finally, despite its size and age, the Catholic Church continues to grow in parts of Africa and Asia, even as it declines in some Western countries. It is truly global, with over 1 billion members across cultures, languages, and nations. When you step back and look at all this, you realize the Catholic Church is not just a Sunday institution. It is a complex, ancient, and sometimes mysterious organization that has shaped politics, culture, science, art, and spirituality for centuries. Some of its traditions may seem strange, some of its history is controversial, but there is no denying its massive influence on the world. And maybe that's what makes it so fascinating. A church that crowns kings, investigates miracles, trains exorcists, runs a country, and claims a leadership line stretching back to the time of the Roman Empire. That's not ordinary. That's history in motion. If you found this eye-opening, make sure you stay curious. Keep asking questions. Keep digging deeper into history and faith. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more powerful explorations like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.